What a privilege to have Austin do that video. And I'll tell you why. Because one of the things right now in the business that we opened that I've questioned God for 5 years, are you sure you told me to do that? And Austin came through that. He came to work for me as a brain trainer before he ever came to Jubilee. And so it's an honor when you see that God uses the unexpected things to produce something in your life. So I'm really thankful for that, and I'll try to say that without being emotional while Austin's standing at the back and his beautiful wife, Sky. Can we just sing this one more time, just that part of There's a Place You've Got to Go? Come on, just close your eyes.
Gotta go just to get there. And some things you gotta leave behind just to get there. There's a price you've gotta pay just to get there. But oh, when you get there, oh, when you get there.
Come on, can you just sing that?
There's a place you've gotta go just to get there. And some things you gotta leave behind just to get there. There's a price you gotta pay just to get there. But oh, when you get there, oh, when you get there.
Sing that, oh, when you get there.
Oh, when you get there.
Come on, just begin to prophesy that into the atmosphere. But
oh, when you get there. Oh, when you get there. Oh, when you get there. Oh, when you get there.
I believe that God is taking us somewhere today. He has been all weekend. But I believe that God is taking us somewhere that we are going to recognize the value of where He's taking us. And I've been I feel like in a pressure cooker a little bit, and you think that sometimes that accelerates the process, but it just means that the heat and the pressure go up at a higher level in a shorter amount of time. And there's something about knowing where God's taking you and the purpose of the transformation process that you are in. Because if you don't recognize the process and the purpose for that transformation, then where He's taking you, you might lose sight of before you get there. And sometimes we think that we want to quit in the process. We want to quit because we don't want to pay the cost or the price, or we're not willing to stay in the process, which all of those are important. But if we lose sight of what's way up here, what God already said, you might just stop the process because you quit understanding why you were going there. Does that make sense? And today I felt like that there is promotion in the room. And the reason when you walked in here, if you weren't in the worship set, how many of you were not in the worship track and you walked into that atmosphere? So Karina, they had a panel, which you guys were awesome, by the way. I was so proud. And Karina was speaking on submission. That's a fun topic, isn't it? I'm not going to speak on submission, I don't think. But you know what happens when you begin to understand that you have to submit things in your life? It produces an atmosphere like you just walked into. Because submission produces something. It's not just something that you choose to do, but it produces something in you when it's real. And I really didn't know what I was going to speak. I don't know if I should be speaking right now. But I'm going to share what I feel like God told me 30 minutes ago. How's that sound? I really was going to go to Lynn and just tell him I'm not going to speak. Maybe God will take over. So, but he did, but He always has something to say. You know, when you're always talking to God, you can't always hear him? So that's been my problem for the last 12 hours. And finally he was like, hey, why don't you be quiet so you can hear me? Yeah, he actually said shut up to me, but I was going to be nice because I don't want like Sophie to say those words. And actually, she came home from kids' church, the kids' conference last night, sang it. We're like, so how was kids' conference? We learned to say, shut up, devil. And I was like, is my dad in the building? What is happening? If you knew my dad, he said that all the time. Shut up, devil. It was a little shaking in the house when my 5-year-old was saying it. She was really enjoying the shut up part of that because she's usually not allowed to say that. What an atmosphere. I want to read a couple of scriptures to you, and then I'm going to attempt to get into what I think God said. You're like, Angela, you don't sound very sure. I'm not. 2 Corinthians chapter 1 and verse 1. All praise to the God and Father of our Master Jesus the Messiah, Father of all mercy, God of all healing counsel. He comes alongside us when we go through hard times. And before you know it, he brings us alongside someone else who is going through hard times so that we can be there for that person, just as God was there for us. We have plenty of hard times that come from following the Messiah, but no more so than the good times of his healing comfort, and we get a full measure of that too. I mean, you know, Paul is talking, he knew something about hard times. Verse 6, for when we suffer for Jesus, it works out for your healing and salvation if we are treated well, given a helping hand and encouraging word that also works to your benefit, spurring you on, face forward, unflinching. Your hard times are also our hard times. And when we see that you're just as willing to endure the hard times as to enjoy the good times, then we know you're going to make it. No doubt about it. Look at somebody and say, you're going to make it. Now, tell them like you mean it. Like, I kind of hope you're going to make it. Say, you're going to make it. We don't want you in the dark, friends, about how hard it was when all this came down on us in the Asia province. It was so bad, we didn't think we were going to make it. We felt like we'd been sent to death row and it was all over for us. But as it turned out, it was the best thing that could have happened. Instead of trusting in our own strength or our own wits to get out of it, we were forced to trust God totally. Not a bad idea, since he's the God who raises the dead, right? And he did it. He rescued us from certain doom, and he'll do it again. In the NIV version of verse 8, it says, we do not want you to be uniformed, brothers, uniformed, have mercy. I told you I wasn't in my right mind this morning. To be uninformed, brothers, about the hardships that we suffered in the province. We were under great pressure. Somebody say pressure. When you go through a transformation process, there is always a level of pressure that is in it. And if I literally just spent hours thinking through all the different things that transform from one form to another. Everything from, we heard on the opening night of the conference from Pastor Greg about the butterfly. And there's a whole different process for a butterfly versus a moth. Did you know that? A butterfly actually isn't in a cocoon. A butterfly is in something they call a chrysalis. Chrysalis. Where's my genius brother? What do they call it? A chrysalis. And a moth is really in a cocoon. But there's all this interesting information that happens. But no matter which one you are, there is pressure inside that thing that is transforming you from this to that. When you think about a diamond, you know, a diamond is formed 100 miles below the earth. And there's extreme high temperatures of over 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And the amount of pressure that I wouldn't know how to put into words because I don't understand it. that make that out of carbon in the earth. So there's always, when there is something that is transforming, there is pressure that is involved. And how many of you know that pressure is not always comfortable? Or maybe it is for you. Is pressure comfortable for you? I usually say the phrase a lot, I work better under pressure. Has anybody ever heard that or said that? How many of you work better under pressure? Why? Why do we work better under pressure? Because you know that you have a deadline that you got to get to for something, for someone, for some reason. And so now the pressure's on. Say the pressure's on. So when the pressure's on, either you're going to really pull it together and go after that thing 150%, or you're just going to let it fail. It's usually going to be one or the other when the pressure is on. So no matter what is transforming, it's in that moment of pressure is where the biggest transformation happens. Y'all are really quiet. But it's the truth. There is something about that happens. So last night when Pastor Judy was speaking, I was one of the ones who said today, man, I wonder what happened to all the scriptures she read in Daniel. So God sent me home and said, why don't you read the book of Daniel? And I didn't really feel like reading the book of Daniel, but I did. And the whole book of Daniel is a lot about prophecy, and it's a lot about promises. And a lot of times we use the book of Daniel about prophetic things that were spoken. Things that right now we are seeing the effects of in end times were prophesied in the book of Daniel. And then there's this little chapter, 2 chapters in chapter 3 of Daniel, that has nothing to do with the rest of the entire book. About Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And I'm like, God, why did you put this chapter right in the middle of this book? It doesn't connect to anything else around it. And God said, because I needed to demonstrate transformation in the middle of the prophecy and the promise. So I was like, okay. So then I went back and read Daniel 3 a few more times, thinking, I know this story. How many of you know the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and the story of the fiery furnace, and the story that we've heard? If you've even remotely ever been in a church in your life, or even if you haven't, you've probably heard that story. So I'm just going to read it to you, and then I'm going to tell you what I felt like God said to me about it. King Nebuchadnezzar built a gold statue 90 feet high and 9 feet thick, and he set it up on the Dura plain in the province of Babylon. He then ordered all the important leaders in the province, everybody who was anybody, to the dedication ceremony of the statue. And they all came for the dedication, and all the important people took their places before the statue that Nebuchadnezzar had erected. Now, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were with Daniel. If you read back in the beginning of the book, they had been promoted to high officials for King Nebuchadnezzar. So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego weren't just these little boys who showed up to the celebration of the golden statue. They had been working for King Nebuchadnezzar. And they weren't just working for him like little servants. They were high appointed officials. That's what Judy was saying last night when she was talking about that they kind of did this little challenge about whether they were going to eat the king's food and drink and conform to that, or if they would just eat the food they felt like that was biblical for them to eat or was spiritual for them to eat. And at the end, they proved that they didn't need to, right? Because God's ways were better. It was after that they got appointed to this position. Okay? So they've been working for King Nebuchadnezzar. They've been doing stuff for him. They're higher officials. I'm sure if it was like the church service, they were on the front row. They were in the reserve spot. They were up there with all the king's officials. So they weren't hidden out in some little crowd like nobody saw them not bow. You hear what I'm saying? All right, continuing. A herald then proclaimed in a loud voice, "Attention, everyone, every race, every color, every creed, listen. When you hear the band strike up, all the trumpets, the trombones, the tubas, the baritones, the drums, and the cymbals, fall to your knees and worship the gold statue that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. And anyone who does not kneel and worship shall be thrown immediately into a roaring furnace." Now, right now, there's a question that's happening inside of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Because right now they're thinking, there's no way we're bowing to that, but everybody's looking at us. I wonder if he'll really do that, if he'll really throw us in that furnace. I mean, I couldn't imagine what was going on in their heads. So the band started to play, a huge band equipped with all the musical instruments, and everyone, every race, color, and creed fell to their knees and worshiped the gold statue that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Just then, some Babylonian fortune tellers stepped up and accused the Jews, and they said to King Nebuchadnezzar, "Long live the king, you gave strict orders, O king, that when the big band started playing, everyone had to fall to their knees and worship the gold statue, and whoever did not go to their knees and worship, it had to be pitched into a roaring furnace. Well, there are some Jews here, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, whom you have placed in high positions in the province of Babylon. These men are ignoring you, O king. They don't respect your gods, and they won't worship the golden statue that you set up." How many of you know that when you are in a position that God has put you in, that God has given you opportunity, and that God has already promoted you to a position? They had already been promoted. They had already been put in this place. But when you're being transformed from place to place, you go from promotion to promotion. Promotion is not a one-time thing. Promotion isn't something that just happens once and you've arrived. That's the paycheck you're stuck with. That's the job description you're doing the rest of your life. How many of you are always looking for a promotion? What comes with, it's okay, you can say it. We want promotion. We want promotion. It seems selfish when people are seeking promotion, but God is the author of promotion. So if we're being promoted and we're seeking after that thing that is His promotion, not just something I'm seeking for my own gain, then all of a sudden it takes on a different meaning. But you can't go from one position to another position and be the same. You can't go and be promoted to this job, but you still do this job description down here. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? There is something about that's why I had Trey singing that song, because sometimes we're so focused on the transformation, but when you get the promotion, it's like, wow, this is what this is like. Yes, and you get to enjoy it for about this long, and then God starts that process all over again. And you're back in another form of transformation, so that you can now become the next thing for the next promotion and become this for the next promotion. So here these guys are, and you know, when you're in your position for that, God will always put somebody around your life that's a tattletale. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what these people were. They're like, oh yeah, we're going to go tell on them. There's always a tattletale around your life when you're trying to go from one place to another. I'm going to tell all the things they're not doing right so they can never get where they're going. I'm going to make sure and proclaim all the reasons why they're not qualified to be in this position. I'm kind of serious today. Sorry. It's going to be deep. Shake it up. Amen to that. Verse 13. Furious. Now, King Nebuchadnezzar, I'm sure, loved these guys. He wouldn't have them on his staff like that, but all of a sudden, it flipped. He ordered Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to be brought in. And when the men were brought in, Nebuchadnezzar asked, "Is this true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you don't respect my gods and you refuse to worship the golden statue that I have set up? I'm giving you a second chance." What a good king he was. You know why? Because he liked those guys. But he was the king, so he had to respond to somebody who's being disobedient. It's hard sometimes when you're in a leadership position or a ministry position, because you have a lot of tattletales. You have a lot of tattletales because they want to come and say, "I just need you to know this is happening, Pastor Angela. I don't really want to go to Pastor Lynn. I'm not sure how he's going to respond, so I'm just going to come to you. I just need to get it out there." No, you don't like it, and you feel threatened, and you don't like this or you don't like that. And that doesn't mean we don't tell things that are going on that are important we need to address. Don't take it out of context. But as a leader, as a king, even though you're like, I know their heart, you feel like sometimes you have to respond. King Nebuchadnezzar didn't even have God in his life. And there was still something in him that recognized the God in them. "Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you don't respect my gods and refuse to worship the gold statue that I have set up? I'm going to give you a second chance." Somebody say, second chance. "But from now on, when the big band strikes up and you must go to your knees, you have to go to your knees and worship the statue that I have made. If you don't worship it, you will be thrown into a roaring furnace, no questions asked. Who is the God who can rescue you from my power?" So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered, "King Nebuchadnezzar, your threat means nothing to us." That's a little gutsy. It's a little gutsy right there. "If you throw us in the fire, the God we serve can rescue us from your roaring furnace and anything else you might cook up, O king. But even if he doesn't, it wouldn't make a bit of difference. O king, we still wouldn't serve your gods or worship the gold statue that you set up." When you are in a place of transformation, going from this promotion to that promotion, God, that's when the pressure that I was talking about a minute ago comes on. Because right now, these three guys were standing in front of their king, and I don't doubt that in their mind, they were thinking for a minute, "Ooh, he's given us a second chance. Maybe God would be okay if I just do this. Maybe God would be all right because we've already made a point once." I didn't hear any hesitation in their words. Your threat means nothing to us. Your threat means nothing. When you are in the middle of a process of transformation and you are standing face to face with the thing that could kill you, what is your response under that pressure? What is your response? Mine usually is not always great, but I'm working on that. Because when the pressure is on, that's when you make the most critical decisions of your transformation process. Because when the pressure comes on us and we're faced with things, all of a sudden we want to go and get everybody else's opinions about what should I do with all this? What should I do? How should I respond? Who should I talk to? What we normally want to do is go on somebody else so that they can tell us what we should do, and then we're probably going to disagree with that too. These guys didn't have anybody to go to. They had one person. You know what's interesting, and this is kind of gross, but what's interesting about a butterfly who is in that chrysalis, I have to look at my brother to make sure I'm saying it right. When that butterfly is in that, it's like I think it's about a 10-day-ish process. That butterfly, the caterpillar that's transforming inside of that, cannot defecate at all during that 10 days. That's kind of gross. I told you it was gross up front. I pre-warned you it was going to be gross. But here's the thing. Sometimes God needs you to keep all that junk in, so He can transform you to where He's taking you. Because we want to just bleh, bleh, bleh on everybody and everything so we can be justified in our psychotic decisions. But the truth is, if you're here this morning, you didn't come for nice anyway, so I'm just going to be raw with you. But I was thinking about that. I'm like, that's kind of disgusting. That butterfly, during that whole transformation process, in order to go from something that crawls on the ground to something that your perspective now is up here, you can't get rid of all the junk on everybody else around you. You got to hold it in and let God turn it into something He can use. Because all of that's inside of that caterpillar, instead of being able to poop it out, to use a nice word, they have to hold it, and it becomes part of the tissue in that process. See, your mess and the junk and the stuff that we carry around on the inside of us, God is the only one who can rescue you. He is the only one who can deal with that stuff. He is the only one who can turn that around for you. And so when we are so focused on being justified by everyone else except God, it aborts the transformation process in us. And I love that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had nobody else to go to. Who are they going to go complain to? Everybody else was bowing but them. Everybody. Say, keep the junk in. Y'all are going to remember that. I'm sorry if it gave you a visual. Sorry. Nebuchadnezzar, his face purple with anger, cut off Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Sometimes for you to go from promotion to promotion, God purposefully allows you to get cut off. Because sometimes there's none of that can you take where you're going. So he ordered some strong men from the army to tie them up, hands and feet, and throw them into the roaring furnace. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, bound hand and foot, fully dressed from head to toe, were pitched into the roaring fire because the king was in such a hurry and the furnace was so hot. Flames from the furnace killed the men who carried Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to it, while the fire raged around them. Somebody say surrender. A big part of pursuing your promotion and where God's taking you and to stick out in that transformation process is surrender. Lynn preached this whole point right before I got up at the end of worship. Because surrender, what you worship is what you're passionate about, and that's what puts you in the front line for promotion. What you are willing to surrender. And when you really surrender yourself, they were singing that prophetic song about put me on the altar and consume me. I don't know what the word, I never remember the words. It frustrates Trey. But it's something about throwing yourself on the altar, totally consume me, burn everything up. That's real surrender when there's nothing left. These three guys right here, they didn't have any other thing to surrender but themselves. Sometimes you just need to surrender you to God. You just need to surrender all of you all your mess, all the good, all the bad, all the happy, all the sad. Just surrender it all to God. Surrender it. Give it completely to Him. Throw it on His altar. Because as soon as you do that, it moves you from the end of the line for promotion to the front of the line for promotion. That's what surrender will do. And I don't know about you, I don't like to be in the back of any line. Has anybody ever stood in line forever and ever and ever for something? I don't like waiting in line at all. Can't stand to go to Walmart. There's 50,000 checkouts and there's 3 of them open and there's like 15 people in line. Of every one of them, I'm like, you've got to be kidding. I do not need this stuff this much. Disney, unless you have a fast pass. Yeah. Yes. But standing in line is irritating. And when you feel like you're at the end of the line for a promotion, how many of you know it's hard to believe for that when you feel like, well, he's going to get it before me, she's going to get it before me, she's going to get it before me, they're more qualified, they're going to get it before me, they've been here longer, this will happen for them. But if they don't want to surrender, you get moved up in the line. That's how God's plan works. So we have to surrender. That's what happened with these guys. They surrendered all of them, all of themselves, everything, their very life. They became what I call the provision for the promotion. Sometimes we think it's about what we can give, and God says, I just want you. I could have millions of dollars in the bank account, which would make Tim really happy, but we don't. But even if I had that and I was willing to write a check to every cause and every church and every missions thing and every opportunity and everything, but I was not willing to be the provision here with my life, then that means nothing. You've got to become the provision for your promotion. That's what these guys did. They became it. Suddenly, King Nebuchadnezzar jumped up in alarm and said, hey, didn't we throw 3 men bound hand and foot into the fire? That's right, O king, they said. They're probably thinking he's a little, out there. Too much celebration of the gold statue. But look, he said, I see 4 men walking around freely in the fire, completely unharmed, and the 4th man looks like the Son of God. I wonder if Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego actually even knew there was a 4th man in the fire with them. Maybe they did. Maybe they were hanging out having a conversation in the warm atmosphere. Maybe they were just standing there and they didn't see Jesus. But everybody else in your transformation process, when you are in the middle of the pressure and the heat of the fire, everyone else out here sees Jesus with you. Because your transformation process is not just for you. God, transform me. Why? So I can go to the next place with you. Why? Because once He transforms you, what are you going to do with the new transformed thing that you've become? See, all of this that these guys went through, these 3 little Hebrew boys, do you know all the stuff that they went through? It was because there was a purpose to bring a king and a nation to come to know God. It wasn't about their sacrifice. It was about what God wanted to rescue and deliver because they were willing to surrender themselves. How many of you know that should change your perspective? That should change your perspective. All of a sudden, when the king began to look at that furnace, I'm sure he was thinking, are they burned up? Are they burned up? Is their God really going to rescue them? Because Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego said, go ahead and do it. God will rescue it. And if He doesn't, oh well. And the king was probably thinking, what if those guys were right? See, when you tell people, God's taking me here and I'm fixing this in my life, and you begin to tell them, I'm letting God work on this and I'm transforming this, people are watching your life to say, what's happening in them? What's happening in you? What's happening with that? Oh, she's not talking the same. She doesn't look the same. She doesn't act the same. She's not going to the same places. She's not doing the same type activities. Or are you? And calling it transformation. That's the key. That's the key. We have to change the perspective for what people say. Well, I don't go through a transformation process for other people's opinions. No, I'm not saying that. But they are watching what Jesus is doing on the inside of you. Because if they don't know if Jesus is real, you're the most real Jesus they might see. And your transformation process matters. It matters. It changes your perspective. That's what I love about the caterpillar to a butterfly. Because the perspective, when a caterpillar, all you can see is what's on the ground. But when once you go through that transformation, your perspective is completely different because now you can go anywhere. You can fly anywhere. You can land anywhere. You can be on anything you want. When you're a caterpillar on the ground, there's only so many places you can go, and it takes a really long time. Have you ever seen a caterpillar crawl? It's really, really slow. And I've done this before, I'm not going to do it this morning. But if I had everybody right now stand on your chair and look around the perspective from where you're sitting right now, and if I have you stand on your chair and you look at the perspective, what you see is different. The place from where you see it is different. Everything is different. And the people around your life, their perspective changes when you begin to fly instead of crawl. So let me say, change your perspective. I'm almost done. So suddenly he jumped up and he says, there's 4 men walking around in the fire. One looks like the Son of God. Nebuchadnezzar went to the door of the roaring furnace and called in. I'm sure he's thinking, this is crazy. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the high God, come out here. And here come Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, walked out of the fire. All the important people, say all the important people. The government leaders, king's counselors gathered around, and they saw to examine them and discovered that the fire hadn't so much as touched the 3 men. Not a hair singe, not a scorch mark on their clothes, not even the smell of fire on them. That's when you know you really surrendered yourself completely to God, when you don't have any smell of any of the junk you went through that's still on you. Nebuchadnezzar said, blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He sent his angel and rescued his servants who trusted in him. They ignored the king's orders and laid their bodies on the line rather than serve or worship any other god but their own. Therefore, I issue this decree. Anyone, anywhere, of any race, color, or creed who says anything against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego will be ripped to pieces from limb to limb. I guess he went up a notch from the fiery furnace. And their houses torn down. There has never been a God who can pull off a rescue like this. And verse 30, then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. That's the verse that hit me because I know this story. You know this story. But I was thinking, what happened to them after all that? Besides the fact, obviously, the king changed all of his rules and decided everyone was going to worship the one true God because he had seen a miracle of transformation in these guys' lives. But ultimately, what it did is it put them in a place of promotion for the next place and the next thing. We've got to walk through that process in order for that promotion to happen. There's several things that I think can kill where you're headed with promotion, but the one thing I'm going to end on is pride. Somebody say pride. In Proverbs it says, pride comes before a fall. In the Message it says, pride will land you flat on your face. And I don't mean in worship. Although hopefully that's where you end up, right? Pride is the thing that will demote you faster. See, these guys right here, because of their high position and because of where they already were, they could have responded out of a place of pride. Like, you know what we've already done for you. You know that we shouldn't deserve this. You know that So when pride gets in the mix and wrong motivations and wrong things begin to come over us, it can abort that promotion. It can cause that thing to fail right in front of you. And I just know that God is taking us somewhere, each one of us in this room. He's in the process. When we say transform, the word says don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Do you know the biggest battle you have in the transformation process is right here? Everybody just point at your head. It's right here. We will take a pill or medicine or exercise or for every other part of our body except this right here. And God says we've got to get to a place that we can not be conformed to the thinking of our selfish, yucky thinking, and we have to be able to let Him transform that minute by minute, not just day by day. Because this is where all the stuff that will stop your transformation happens. This is where it's rooted, right here in your mind. And the word is very clear about taking every thought into captivity. And it's a nice biblical cliche phrase. But listen, what you need to cry, what we need to cry out is, God, in order for me to keep this transformation and be promoted to the place that you're taking me to so that I can help transform other people's lives through your power, then I've got to keep this thing right here in check. Renewing of your mind. That means there's stuff that shouldn't be going in, and there's stuff that isn't going in, like this right here, that should be going in. Does that make sense? So like I said when I got up at the beginning, and I said there's promotion in the room. There's promotion in this room today. Judy, when Dave was prophesying over you last night about Good Morning America, there's promotion for you. There's promotion. There's promotion coming. Bigger than what you know, bigger than what you think, bigger than what you are even think you can keep up with. That kind of promotion, it's like it's chasing you. You're not even pursuing it. It's like it's chasing you. And it's chasing you because of a life of surrender. And another choice of surrender. And another choice of surrender. And every time you choose surrender, there's promotion. And then the next surrender, and then there's promotion. And there is promotion coming. It's not even about finances. It's not even about that. That's like the easy part. It's the people promotion part that's coming to you. And it's going to be transforming. It's going to be transforming for them because you've been transformed. That's what I saw in this story. And I don't know if I'm doing a great job of communicating it today. But what I know is that those guys chose to surrender their entire life and do that transformation process because they were not going to be conformed to what everybody else and everyone else thought that they should do. And what it produced was something that promoted them and promoted God to His rightful place in an entire nation. We need God in our nation. And we need some people that are willing to be the provision and that are willing to be surrendered and that are willing to say, whatever it takes, I'll do it. Whatever it requires, I'll go there. Whatever I have to cut off, I'll cut off. Whatever I have to get rid of, I'll get rid of. Whatever I have to rearrange in my life, I will rearrange. It's quiet because we don't really want to do that kind of surrender. We don't. I don't. I'll look at God and tell him, I don't want to surrender like that. I like these parts of my life. They're not bad parts. But to go where God is taking you, then there's just things that have to change. That's the transformation process. Everybody just close your eyes with me. You can just go back and sing that song, Trey. I believe God's, Trey, going to give you a new part to that song. I don't know what it's going to be. I really had something really funny to share today and do some other stuff, but I'm telling you, it's the deep things that actually cause real transformation. When that butterfly is in that state of being transformed, there's nobody else around. Do you hear me? It's all by itself. It's all by itself. There's nobody else there to give you the attaboy and slap on the back and you can make it, and nobody's telling that butterfly inside of that thing to say, come on, stick it out, baby, stick it out, you can make it. No, it's got to be on the inside of you. God has to be enough on the inside of us, because until he satisfies completely on the inside, until he's the only attaboy or attagirl that you need, until he's the only voice that really matters, until he is the only one that can possibly finish the transformation process for you, until he's everything and he's the complete all in all, then you may be stuck in that thing for longer than you were supposed to be there. Because you keep coming out and trying to fly when it's not complete. And instead you find yourself getting pushed off the cliff and you don't have wings ready to fly. Help us, Jesus, that you would be more than enough for us. When Jesus went to the Garden of Gethsemane, there was a point that the pressure was so great on him, he had to go by himself. There was no pressure greater than what Jesus took on. And when he was there, he brought 3 of his disciples with him and said, hey, can you just pray with me? They couldn't even stay awake long enough to pray with him or for him. But Jesus had to go on to the place by himself and go through the transformation process with his Father to prepare him to withstand the promotion of the cross. Can you see that the cross was a promotion? Yes, it was a promotion for your life. It was a promotion for your life. It was a promotion for your life. And it's a promotion for my life. That's what the cross is. But Jesus had to go. Even Jesus. Our lives have got to become an actual living, breathing place of surrender. With no other excuses and no other things that are obstacles. Quit making Jesus pry junk out of your life. Let him have it. of somebody's begging, but out of a moment between you and Him that says, you can have it. Because I want to go where you're taking me. And I want to fly out of this transformation process. There are souls that are assigned to every one of you in this room to become who you're supposed to become. Did you hear me? There are souls assigned to your life and your obedience. Is it that serious? Yes! That's why I said today, I didn't even feel qualified to get up and speak to you today. Because I'm just like, Jesus, I don't want to mess this up for you. I don't want to mess anything up. That has to be our heart. There has to be a humility from the very heart of God that's got to overtake you in a place of surrender. It's not a very celebratory promotion message. Whew. But promotion is where you're going. Come on, just sing that, Trey, if you can. It's a place we got to go. It's about, oh, when I get there.
There's a place you gotta go just to get there. There's some things you gotta leave behind just to get there. There's a price you gotta pay just to get there. Oh, when you get there. Oh, when you get there. There's a place you gotta go just to get there. There's some things you gotta leave behind just to get there. There's a price you gotta pay just to get there. Oh, when you get there. Oh, when you get there.
I want to just connect what was happening in the atmosphere before I came up to speak to this moment. And I just want to I want the Holy Spirit to make this room an atmosphere of surrender. It's your choice. You can surrender or you can not. Nobody's going to make you do anything. I just know that we're going somewhere. And in this moment, it's not just an act of surrender, it's a choice of surrender. An act of surrender sometimes is behavior modification, but a choice says, I'm making the decision, I'm surrendering this thing. I am letting go of this thing. I am not going to carry this anymore. I'm not going to do life this way anymore. I'm not going to stay the same. And I don't know what you need to do this morning or this afternoon, whatever time it is. You may want to get on the floor. You may want to stay right where you are. You may want to walk around. You may want to stand up, sit down, lay down, kneel. I don't know. Whatever it is that God is saying, this is what I want you to do, and this is what I want you to surrender. There's something significant. It's not going to happen for everybody in this room, but if you really want it, it will. Quit carrying everybody else's mess. You can't change them. You can't fix them. You can't make them go where you're going. Trey, there is promotion that is coming over you. And it may or may not be out of a wheelchair, but there is promotion coming to you. Because promotion isn't about your physical position. And there is coming a time that you will not be satisfied to sing the song you already wrote. You'll be so over it, to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. Because there is promotion and surrender, and promotion and surrender. And you're looking inside, you're like, God, what else do I have to surrender? God said, your gift. That's all I want from you. That's all I want. Don't give your gift to them, give it to me. He's taking you somewhere you've never been.
This chair is your chrysalis. This chair is your chrysalis. This chair is your chrysalis. I was sitting next to Judy and she said, does it get easier over time to see him like this? And I said, no. It doesn't get easier over time seeing you in a chair, because it provokes me more and more to the day that I know you're getting out of it. Today, you're not just being promoted into a new position. It has nothing to do with what you sing, what you say, how you preach, how you live, what great inspiration you are to all of us. The promotion is coming out of a place because you've chosen to posture your heart. And just like they said, if we perish, then we perish. Our God is able to deliver us, but even if He doesn't, He's still able. And I'm telling you right now that even as you're in this place, you're in a place of transformation, you're in a place of reformation, and you are in a place of formation. And I'm telling you right now, those three words are about to be married together. Bethany, I want you to come up right now and stand by your husband. And I believe right now there is something happening for the two of you in this conference. I just texted the two of you during Angela's message, and I had no idea she was going to start prophesying to Trey. But here's what I heard the Lord say, that the Lord is in a tireless, endless pursuit of the two of you. And here's what I felt. The Lord said, stop trying to do everything. You don't have to do everything. Bethany, you don't have to do everything. You don't have to be everything. You don't have to be everything for everybody. And I felt like the Lord said, there is time for you. There is time for you. I saw the Lord just bringing you on a drive. And I saw you driving and you didn't know where you were going. It was like I've driven around this town 1,000 times and I saw you getting lost in Pensacola. And I said, Lord, how could she get lost in this city? And the Lord said that I'm bringing her out of her bubble. I'm bringing her out of her box. And she's actually about to find things and see things in this city she's never seen before. And Bethany, I felt like the Lord said He did not put your life on hold 5 years ago. I felt like the Lord said over the last 5 years have been a season of grace for you. And a lot of times people think grace means it's just easy going. But I'm telling you right now that you're about to discover that this place of grace has become a launching pad for you. He may sing as a place of worship. But I'm telling you right now, the two of you live out of the place of worship. Every time you care for Him, that's worship. Every time you press through and do not sleep, but maybe 20 or 30 minutes in a night, it's worship. I just felt like the Lord said, people are going to begin to see you in a different way. Not as the declarators, not as the church event people, not as the wedding people. But I'm telling you right now, the Lord wants the two of you to begin to dream again. He wants the two of you to begin to dream again. All week I felt this, and I believe this is a word for them, but Angela, Pastor Lynn, I believe this is a word for the house. We need to bring back the worship symposium. I believe there's something for the two of you, that the Lord is about to create moments out of worship. You've been praying for a miracle. I just text you about miracles, but you don't need a miracle as much as you need a moment. Lord, right now, I thank you for the all expense paid trip. I thank you for the all expense paid trip. But I pray right now for the first class ticket. Bethany, don't worry about the who, the what, the where, the when, or the why. I've got this. I've got this. You've been so busy holding everybody together that you've not let yourself fall apart. And I'm telling you right now, you're about to discover the things that are about to be built out of brokenness. It's not a bad brokenness, honey. It's not a painful thing. But I just felt like the Lord right now, I feel like over the next 30 days, God is going to do such a deep healing work on the inside of you. This is what I heard the Lord say. You were so busy dealing with everybody else and everything else, you never got to take the time to grieve. And now everybody's telling you should be over it by now. Honey, you never get over it. You just get through it. You never get over it. You just get through it. I give you permission this day to say no. I give you permission this day to get lost. I give you this day permission not to return the text or the phone call. And when she doesn't return our calls or our texts, it doesn't mean something's wrong. It just means she's just getting lost in Him. And Lord, right now, I just felt like the Lord said, get ready for the acres. Get ready for the acres. I saw the Lord building something from the floor up, from the ground up. The Lord is pouring the foundation. The Lord is pouring the foundation of a new place, coming fully furnished. The doorways are already being expanded, and it has nothing to do with getting a wheelchair through the roof. Open floor plans. Nothing segmented, everything open. The design is in Trey, but the dream is in you. The design is in Trey, but the dream is in you. I'm going to count to 3, and what I do, I want everybody in this place to begin to scream at the top of your lungs, Bethany, it's time to dream again. 1, 2, 3. Bethany, it's time to dream again. In Jesus' name. hijack your message, Angela. But I felt like the Lord said, only you could deliver a word like this. And the reason you still had to go through and preach it is because you've chosen to live it. Sometimes I giggle a little bit because you say, I know it sounds kind of harsh, or I feel a little edgy, or I feel like I'm pushing the envelope today. And I kind of smile because this is what I heard the Lord say. She's not even being an ounce as hard on us as she is on herself. Everybody gets to see the made-up Angela, meaning with the makeup on and the cute outfits and shoes and all of that. But you've been your own worst critic. And I'm telling you right now, the season of self-criticism and second-guessing every decision is coming to an end. I just heard these words. I just wish my dad could tell me one more time it was going to be all right. And I hear the Father say, it's going to be better than all right. It's going to be better than all right. This year is not only going to be profitable for the business, God's positioning you in the business so that you can sell it off. Because God is refocusing you, and the refocusing is coming after the refining. You're going to have a testimony. Tim, you and Angela are going to have a testimony in the next 6 months of being completely debt-free. I heard the Lord say, I didn't just give you a word about a business, I gave you the business. I didn't just give you a word about the house on Belle Christian, I gave you the house. And what I felt was this, is some people are really foolish because they eat their seed. Are you hearing me? Some people, they eat what they should be sowing. And then there's some people who don't recognize the blessing on their life, and they actually give what God has given them. And what I feel is this, is that it's almost like you've leveraged what God has given you. And don't hear this the wrong way, but it's like you've leveraged what God has given you against what God has given you. And so it makes sense to leverage the house for the business. And I'm not trying to tell your business, but I'm just telling you right now, there is breakthrough coming. And I'm just telling you, you have faced your last days of financial pressure. And I just felt like there is something that is so practical, transformational, that as it goes with the two of you, it's going to go with the rest of the house. There was a word over another leader who left. And the word was from Roger Teal, as it goes with you, it'll go with the rest of the house. I don't know why, but I woke up 3 times this week. And I kept hearing that word. And at first the word made me angry, it made me agitated, all of those things. And then last night in a conversation with David Alexander, he said, we were at a meeting one time at the police department. He's speaking to me. He said, you gave a word to another guy about being the chief of police. And he said, that guy didn't receive the word, so I just received it.
Come on, somebody.
And he said a week later, he said, I took my son and we went and he watched me get the sign plate engraved. David Alexander, Chief of Police. And he said, I kept it in my house till the appointed time. He received what somebody else refused to receive. And here's what I heard the Lord say to you, Angela. You're about to receive the benefit, the resurrection of, the restitution of, the blessing of, and the promise of every word that was ever spoken in this place to other people, and they didn't receive it, but you received it. I think sometimes as preachers we try to preach ourselves out of things and into things. And all of it's good. God honors His word. But then there's things that we live. Things we live through, things we live to, and things we live for. And I'm telling you right now, this was a prophetic message to everyone in the room. But it was a designed personal prophecy to you. You just spoke a 40-minute prophetic word over yourself. And God is about to give you the anointing and the permission to be a prophet to your own life. There's something stirring right now on the inside of you. You've screamed till you couldn't scream anymore. You've cried until you ran out of tears. But one thing you haven't done is laughed until it hurt. And God is about to hit the joy button in you. David said, Lord, let me not forget the joy of salvation. And I'm not saying you're not a happy person or you haven't had moments of joy. But I'm telling you right now that joy is about to be your new portion. Joy is about to be your new portion. Lord, on my sister, on my friend, Lord, I ask right now that, Lord, you would fully activate, you would fully stir up every good and perfect gift, every promise from your hand, Lord. I felt like the Lord's about to take you on a trip down memory lane. You're about to go where you've not wanted to go in the last 3+ years. It's not going to be painful. What you're going to do is, it's like I saw all of these mile markers going down this place called memory lane. You're going to find every promise ever made to the dad. You're going to find promises that were written out. You're going to find promises that were recorded. You're going to find promises. You're going to realize it wasn't just over him, but it was directly to you. You're going to be the magnet for the promises of God. The Lord's going to teach you how to let people go. The Lord is going to teach you how to let people go. You're going to get a new saying. I can't tell you how to be, but I can tell you how to be if you're going to be with me. I can't tell you what to believe. I can't tell you what to feel. But here's the standard. Here's the culture. Here's the faith. You're going to see people go sometimes and you won't take it personal. Because they're not leaving you. They're not running from you. They're running from Him. And God's about to snatch some people up. He'll snatch some people back. And He'll let some people go for their own benefit. And I'm just telling you right now, there is a new sound on the inside of you. I see a day coming in the next year or so where you're going to take 7 days and all you're going to do is write. And it's not just going to be working on a project or the one thing that you and I have talked about. But you're going to go from songwriting to book writing to sermon writing to blog writing to... And Lord, right now, Lord, I thank you that promotion has come upon her. Angela, you're not just going up a rung of a ladder. You're not just going up to a next step. But there's a double promotion coming for you today. In Jesus' name. Promotion comes out of process. And process always leads to promise. If you're like me, I love promise. I don't like process. But when you come through that place, I'm telling you right now, some of you are coming face to face with the thing you feared. Some of you right now in this place are coming face to face with the realization that God's not looking for somebody else, He's looking for you. If I were you, I'd get real selfish in this place. A holy selfishness, and you realize I'm not going to let anybody else get what God has for me. Don't miss a moment because you didn't receive it for you. And if you miss something for you, then don't get offended when somebody else gets what was designed for you, but you refuse to do. 2 years ago, this very week, I was sitting in my living room, sitting in my favorite chair in my recliner that I got from Pastor Ballinger, and I'll never forget it. I dozed off, creating notes for this conference. And the Lord kicked my seat. He kicked the chair. And He said, I need you to wake up right now. I need you to awaken to destiny and promise. Or else I need you not to be offended when somebody else does what you used to do, but you no longer want to do. And I'm telling you right now that God is about to release a supernatural anointing to receive right now. Come on, there is something extraordinary, something special that God has in this place.
I see the Lord doing this, going back and forth about this pace like this. If you can imagine the Lord doing this, just imagine Him doing this. When I saw it, I said, what are you saying, Lord? I was sitting there. He said, tell the people I will not rest. He said, I will not hold my peace. I will not rest until they get the best. I will not rest. Trey, he said, I'm not going to rest. Bethany, he said, I'm not going to rest until you get the best. I'm not going to rest. 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 I'm going to keep at it. I'm going to keep at it. I'm going to stretch you. I'm going to stretch you. I'm going to move you. I'm going to push you. I'm going to speak to you. I'm going to declare my word over you. I'm going to give it to you. I'm not going to rest. I'm not going to rest. I'm not going to rest. Things are going to come. Things are going to go. But God says, I'm going to rest. I'm not going to rest until you walk in the fullness. You're going to get my best. 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 Because I've seen your heart. I've seen your heart. It's the heart of the worshiper. And that's what He loves, the heart of the worshiper. He's seen your heart, He's seen your actions, but He judges you by your heart. Your heart, your heart. The heart of this house is a good heart. God says, I'm not going to rest until you get my best. You're going to see everything that He ever promised you. David, you're going to see everything that He's ever told you. You're going to behold the glory of the Lord. You're going to walk in the glory of the Lord. You're going to release the glory of the Lord. It's going to flow out of you just like you prophesy. His Spirit is going to flow out of you non-stop. It's going to flow. It's the glory of the Lord. The glory of the Lord. I'm not going to rest. It's not going to rest. It's not going to feel easy, people. It's not going to feel easy. What we have to go through is not going to feel easy, but he's getting us ready for the best. And that's why in these days and this time, we can't relent. We can't back up. We've got to know that we can't get weary in well doing, and we're doing well, and we can't get weary while we're doing well, because in that due season that's here upon us right now, we're going to see his glory right here in this house, right here in this house, right here in your house. He's moving. He's working behind the scenes. He's shaking some stuff up. He's shutting some stuff down. You're going to be challenged. You're going to be pushed because of who you are and because of what he has for you to do. I even see him zipping your lips, putting it on mute. You're not going to be able to complain. You're not going to be able to murmur. Because if you do, the same thing's going to happen to you as it happened to in the book of Luke. Won't be able to say anything because God will not let anything stop from what he's doing in this house and for your life. He's not going to rest. He's going to give instructions and you got to do it. He's going to challenge you and you got to do it. He's going to tell you some things and you got to do it. There's just no choice. You will see the glory of the Lord. And even before the year is out, there's three major things that's going to happen significantly. I was out praying for one of the ladies that got sick for quite a while, and she got major deliverance. So I don't even know, Pastor, what's happened. I don't know if we're even receiving an offering. I don't even know, but I do know what I'm hearing now. And I don't know, this is going to bear witness with who's here, because I know when he speaks in this type of atmosphere, and after this message today, and what he's doing, get ready to see mega God. Everything transforms. Everything transforms. Relationships transforms. Finances transforms. Everything is transforming. He's shutting some things down. I'm telling you. And he's releasing the greater. We're sitting there, and last night I got ready to take my checkbook out to write a check. I just like believing giving a check in every offering. It don't matter. But the Lord says no. I said, don't give offering tonight. I said, people next to me is gonna she's not giving an offering tonight. The Lord says, wait until I tell you. And I remember when I was sitting there, just about where I was sitting there, maybe 2-3 years ago, Dave got up and said, I've not done an offering before, but there's 8 people that he told to give a certain amount of money. And I was sitting there, and I had already written the amount out, put it back in my Bible, and just said, I'll just give it. Didn't need anybody else to tell me, because the Lord had already told me. But when he got up, he said, there's 8 people. God's going to do something significant within 3 days. I was so happy. I knew it was true because he had already told me. I said, well, Lord, I'm going to be the one of the 8. Within 3 days after I left here, one of the biggest real estate transactions, just out the clear blue sky, just came just like that, right here in Florida. And I said, God, you said it, and he did it. I'm telling you, listen to me. I was sitting there, and the Lord said, there's 10 of us Somebody say 10 of us. This is all about transforming. This is all about your next. This is all about what you're getting ready to see the glory of God, people. You're getting ready to see the glory of God with your family. You're getting ready to see the glory of God in so many areas, because transformation is about everything, all encompassing. It's not one area of your life. It's not just this area. It's everything. That's the kind of God we serve, and that's what he wants to do in this house for you, because you have been faithful, because you didn't give up, because he's seen your heart. Yeah. Obedience is required. Go all the way with him. There's 9 more of you that the Lord is saying today, of that same seed. And you're here and you're going to say, that's me. And it's a seed of $1,000. And you're here and you're going to say, that's me. And you may have to do like he told me, move my money. I told the Lord one time, I said, I don't have that in my checkbook. It was a way larger amount than that. He said, move my money. I knew what that meant. I had to move from one account to another account. And I became obedient to the Lord. Within 4 days, when I came back, I was at a conference. And I came back, and I had the biggest opportunity, 10 times as much as money as I gave, all because I was obedient in that hour. I feel the same release. I feel that same transformation, that same thing in this house right now. There's 9 more of you, whether you have a business, whether you say I can bring it in tomorrow or whatever, if you have to pledge it, I'm telling you, don't miss this opportunity. I see you and the Lord sees you. And the Lord just told me, some of you have been holding back and you've been saying, Lord, when do you want me to give this? I have this, I don't know when to do it. The Lord says now. I just heard that. God bless you. I knew that was you, my brother. I don't know what you're doing, but God says, I see a green light. You got a green light and things are getting ready to move. You were standing at a light that was not green. It was like stand still. The Lord said things are getting ready to happen for you in Jesus' name. Hallelujah. There's about 5 more of you. Who are you? There's 4 more of you. Who are you? I'm telling you, I'm delivering something from the throne room. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. If you believe this word and you say, Lord, it must be me, and you have that faith, and you may have that finance, and you just can't let go. This is the day that you will see mega God in your life, for your family, for your finances. This is the day. Can I wait for 3 more people? I see you. Can you come? Can you just come? Can you just come? God bless you. Can you just come? Yes, you just come. I just want to just release something special over your lives. And even the seed that you're giving, you 10 that are coming, it's just not for you only. Last night I said that we're in it for others. Come on, everybody say this. So we're in it for others. Say it again. Say, we're in it for others. Say it again. We're in it for others. And this seed that you're giving is going to be for others, not only you. It's all right now. It's all right. It is all right. It is all right, because you shall see my hand, even as my hand is on your shoulder. You shall see my hand, and you've been waiting and you've been waiting, but the wait is over. That's not just a nice cliche-ish thing to say. That's from the throne room of God. It's your time. Hallelujah. This seed will keep giving and keep giving and keep giving and keep giving. And it will be giving not only for you, but for others. I see breakthrough. I mean, you are a sign You are assigned today to bring breakthrough for others. Your seed is going to bring breakthrough for others, not only you. I feel a double release on this seed. Your family, my God, your family shall reap the benefit of the seed. Your family. Nothing can stop what God has put in you. Nothing can stop the vision. Nothing can stop what God has been in you. Nothing will stop it. I see you like on a fast locomotive train going to a destination, and nothing will be able to stop. I see you blowing the whistle. Get out of my way. Get out of my way. Or toot, toot, toot. Get out of my way. Here I come. Here I come. Ready or not, nobody's going to stop it. And here the Lord said, you're on a track that cannot be stopped. And watch and see where it takes you, because you don't know yet where it's taking you. You think it's going one place, but the Lord said it's going another place. Ha, 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 ha. Get ready, get ready, get ready. The time has come, and you said, Lord, I'm not sure. But the Lord said, make it sure, son. It's sure, it's right. It's going to be all right. You step out. I take away the hesitations today. I take away the doubt now. In Jesus' name. Man the valor, man the faith. Hallelujah. You shall bless others. You shall mentor others. And that's what you've always wanted because of your own life. Watch and see what he does. Hallelujah. 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 Is there anybody else? Everybody's here. Before I pray, everybody's here. Thank you, Lord. Jesus. I see the fruit, David, coming up fast. I see the fruit